So you join us back, another Antar video. We've got the engine block in the workshop on the trusty forklift. Teeny tiny, it's a bitsy nifty thingy. It's D-Day. We're gonna have to drill some holes in our block and try and fix it. I don't know.
A little nervous.
A little nervous. I've never done the crack repair like this, the cold stitching. I'll show you how we do it now. I always generally go by the motto that if anyone else can do it, I can do it. I'll give it a damn good go at learning and doing it. But this is my only block. I won't say good block because really it's not. It's cracked. It's our best block. So you shall join us on the process as we learn how to do it. I've had a practice on a couple of bits of steel when I can understand the fear behind it, and we made some jigs up to help us. How do we repair a cast iron engine block? There's two main methods. One is welding, the second being cold repair, cold stitching. Welding doesn't always work. Cast iron has a tendency, as it cools rapidly in one area, to crack and carry on cracking, and will crack away from the weld. It's notoriously hard to get a weld to stick to. There's all sorts of silicon carbon rods and stuff for MMA welding. Laser welding has become a bit more of a thing. That's expensive and way out of our budget, and also they can't guarantee it for long. So we're opting for cold stitching, which doesn't require any welding, and we stitch the cracks with bolts. So this is an engine block, and he has a crack down here. Big old crack, if I say so myself. So what you do is effectively you end up with a bolt, a bolt, a bolt, all overlapped. So say if you, this is M size, isn't it? The crack was through there. It's a method that's been used on cast iron for absolutely donkey's years, and a bit of a dying art. I guess that's because these days engine blocks are kind of throwaway. Start with the next one. Fortunately, we can't ring up Perkins or Rolls-Royce and ask for a new Rolls-Royce C8. So that's what we're hoping to achieve. You fully take the crack out, replace it with pins. We've got lots of feet in threaded bar. We've gone for quarter BSW thread. The 55 degree on BSF seems to work better for cold stitching. So that's why we've chosen that thread on some sound advice. Yeah, we're going to crack on. Crack on with our crack. Yeah, scrap that, we're not going to crack on, we're going to crack off. Right, let's get on. We've got two little jigs. We've got our crack. So what we do is we drill the very start of that, which is here somewhere, on this radius, which is nice. And we've got a locating pin. So we pop him in down, and we can drill them two. Then we can move along, drill them two. Move along, drill them two. Move along, drill them two. Then we thread them, and we wind some studs in. Now this one will go on to hole 3 or 5, whichever, and that gives us the even spacing. It'll come apparent, you'll kind of see it as we do it and how it works, and like that. So as this crack is raised and has a raised edge, we're going to grind him down. For cracks, flappy discs like this are awesome, because it means you can see what you're doing through the disc when it's working. It's hard to hold a camera and do it, but I hope you saw that. You can see through the disc. So right, let me grind that down. What I've done is I've thrown some Sharpie in the crack, then buffed off the top edge just with a bit of wet and dry ME cloth, so we can see where the crack is a little easier. We've put a small dot in there. So you saw we just use a dot punch. Why do you dot punch things? So if I want to start this drill, as it's spinning, you see it just ever so slightly wanders. Yes, you can kind of hold it straight, but if you want to guarantee you're in the right place, take your dot punch, which is a slightly hardened point, give it a big one. Now you see that dot there? That will locate your drill bit, and you can't move. In fact, if that'll zoom in the bottom of that hole, you can still see we're in the dead centre of our dot.
I see daylight.
We're through. So I don't know how well this could be set on the camera. What I will do is I can zoom in post edit. We are smack bang in the middle there. That's come up the tree. So our guide pin in our drilling jig here should then straight into there. A quick shout out to Martin who volunteers here. He's made these jigs. He's got a million stuff at home. How did life exist before Martin? It does want to twist off, so you're gonna. You happy with that? So what we're doing now is we're just making sure that we can see through our guide hole and make sure that our crack is in the centre of this drill bit. And this is just a tight fit in here to hold us perpendicular to the face. Yeah. I'm pretty happy with that.
Yep, just the middle one there.
Yep. You don't think it's moved?
No. There's no room for the swath to go in.
We are in the crack. We're slightly over, but
it does a little loop round. That's
yeah.
It's not. If I go back to that
First hole again.
first one, I think I'm in.
Yep. Happy with that?
Yeah. Getting scary.
Right, so you can really see now our holes in the middle of this line here. So you can really, so we zoomed in, so you can see we start at that corner, so we can then go around this way, then this way. So I told Josh, what we can do now is we can put our guide pin in that hole, in the third hole.
I can find it.
And then you can see, it's a bit dark on the camera, but what we're doing is we're just referencing in here. There is a line down there to help aim, but that's quite a big pivot between there and there, so it doesn't, it's alright for that hole, but that hole it's not brilliant. Join us back as we're tapping. Our first run of holes. This is just a first tap. First tap is just incredibly tapered. That helps you sort of get square and start. These ones are a bit awkward because they're drilled straight from this way, but yet the block is going down, sloping down. What we've done as well is we left this corner one untapped. Then this is what we use for picking up our in-between holes. And including the thread, what that does, that gives us a 60% overlap, which apparently is the optimal number. Now, because we're drilling cast iron and it's a through hole, there's no point backing off. There is no chips to break. We are right against the edge of a web on these. Yeah. So that is all of our threaded hole. Well, that is all of our holes, and they are now been threaded. We've been back through them with a plug tap. So we've been first, then we've been for a plug tap and threaded them all the way down. Right, so you hear us talk a couple of different times about a plug tap, second tap, and first tap. Why have I named them backwards, I don't know. It's quite tapered. So you can see that goes in the hole here. That goes in a fair way and then helps you get started straight. Whereas a plug tap is very flat bottomed and he don't go in at all. So it's quite hard, it's quite easy to get this started on the piss, and that'll just bind up and you end up snapping a tap. So next what we've done, if Josh shows our pot, I have cut down a load of threaded pins. This started life as threaded bar, and I've just put a very small start on them. Really shallow. Just on a bench grinder. Which side have I done? I've done that side. What we want them to be is quite tight in the bottom. We don't want a long taper, because once we break through with the drill on drilling the second holes, that'll snag that and snap that. And on my test piece, I did manage to break 3 drill bits. So how are we going to seal them in? Our plan is, with our Loctite 648, and that is a permanent retaining compound for cylindrical parts. And our bolt is cylindrical. We weren't necessarily sure what the stuff to use was, and we've done Googling and Googling and Googling, and nothing really helpful comes up. There is an article that comes up online, Loctite did on Ford using 643 in their production plant on core plugs, threaded core plugs, and reference 648 being more expensive and better in higher temperatures. So good enough for Ford, good enough for us. I mean, 648 is the go-to stuff for core plugs, and so if that's good with core plugs, and that means it's good with antifreeze, it's got to be good. It's got to be good for this.
Just lots of small core plugs.
Yeah, it's just many small core plugs. So, right, we're going to make a start. We'll put you on the tripod, and you'll just see we're just going to stick some sealant. We're going to stick some sealant in the holes, stick some on the thread. We want enough. And get the first row of pins in.
one.
Where did we put the tissue? We did buy a new one.
Fresh roller.
That's what was on Kieran's block.
Yeah.
So that is our first pin in. I've emphasised the gap, so I've countersunk this slightly so you can really see, but the importance of us pinning the bolts over and how that swells the end. So as we pin the end of this bolt over, that is a bit extreme, but this is purely so you can see it. You see how big we've swelled that end? So what we're doing on the engine, we're only leaving it slightly high, and that's just swelling the last few threads and really tightening them up. Obviously this was just extreme to really show you what difference it makes. How small you are at the back and how we're swelling the top up. So yeah, that was a bit extreme, but I just want to show you why you pin the end over and really swell the end of the threads up. So that is all of the A-holes done.
Odd holes.
That is all of the odd holes done, and they are all peened over. So the idea of peening them is to spread that last few threads of the bolt and really swell it out in the hole, and it does make quite a difference. So we've got our reference hole, and this is a jig, goes into there, and that gives us the other spacing to get between these. So we use that to pick up the spacing, and then we go back to that one to keep going down. So we don't do, like when we did the first set of holes, obviously we did every hole. When we do this next run, we do every other hole. And the idea is that we don't want to drill both sides out of one of our new pins, and potentially the more material we move out, the more chance of it twisting or moving, and that's a bad day in the office. So we'll let the Loctite go off. That is now fully cured, so we are going to make a start. So stick back on the tripod. These holes are harder to drill. you'll see. I imagine we'll break a drill bit, and I'll show you why they're harder. Yeah. When that happens, I'll show you. The important bit is, so this is my test piece, which is here. You can see I've drilled a few out up there. These haven't been swollen, so you can see around the outside of the bolt. I didn't pin these ones over. But you need to make sure that you're... So this one we've gone too far, so you can see, if you stick out too far, as you break through, that drill bit's going to snag on that one and that one. Catch and break. So all of our... We're just flush with the bottom of the block. We haven't gone too far. So yeah, I'm hoping this pass goes as easy as the first one. Yep. Let's just move.
I know, but I went back.
Yep, sure.
Yep.
First hole, I would say he's good. Right, so that is our first set of B holes drilled and tapped. So as you see, we only do one side of each pin. So they're now ready for some threaded bar. It's quite odd when you look at the swarf now, there's actually like proper swarf. You can see the difference between the bright silver swarf from the pins we're putting, and then the dust cast iron. When drilling cast iron and tapping it, it's important not to use any lubricant because of that fine powdery dust that it produces. It just turns into a paste and binds up, and you end up snagging your tap and your drill and snapping it. So it's clean and dry and nice and slow. But cast is a dream to tap, it's lovely. Right, so we're now putting our first set of even pins in. Same process as before, really. So that is our first even pin going in. Some of them the right way. Because the trouble is, you don't want them poking out too far the other side. And because these are through holes, I'm having to wind them through, and then it's that one. Oh, you're there. I mean, you can always lose them off the inside if we had to. So I'll join you back now once we've got all these pins in and we flash them off. Wait for the Loctite to go off, and then we pin the ends again.
So that is all bar 2 of the holes drilled on this first crack. This is the longest, it even goes around a corner. So what I'm going to do is set the camera up in a way that you can see me stick the taps through. I've not been doing the standard kind of like half turn, like do a half or a turn and then back off a little bit, because it's cast. Okay, yes, there is steel in the bolts, but the cast iron comes away as like powder really. So there's some steel chips in there from the drilling, but they're so small, and because they're through holes as well, they do just break off. And you see, there's a little bit of like iron powder in the flute there, but they just break off and fall through. So there's not. And say if I felt it binding up, I would do the back turn, just break those chips off and break them up. But it's not doing it, so I haven't needed to yet. So yeah, I'll get these last couple done and then stick the rest of the tap through. Haven't set the thing on fire, so that's a bonus.
Right, so that is now, we're ready to flatten them down to they're almost flat. That is that crack done. We have now drilled, tapped, bolted, peened and polished the last set of bolts. We've started 9 foot of threaded bar into this engine and we've got this much left. So that's 9 foot and we have that left, which are the trim offs on some of the longer studs for into the radiuses. We ordered 9 foot being conservative and almost didn't have enough. The finish article being, you can just make out up to there and then down there, down there. We started this Tuesday night.
9 o'clock Thursday.
It's now 9 o'clock Thursday. And Tuesday night was awkward to download the GoPro footage from because we went so late, it was the next day. We finished about 2 o'clock Tuesday night. So our next plan is now we're going to throw some primer over this, stop it going rusty while we clean up and prep the rest of the block now for a rebuild. Hopefully have a long block in a few days. No, it's not this.